Hi, and welcome to A Drummer's Guide to, the podcast all about the things that it takes to be a professional musician aside from actually playing your instrument, which we take as a given. My name is Emily Dolan Davis. I have been drumming since 1999, professional since 2008, and helping others to reach their professional dreams since 2018, and that is why we're here today. So, first things first, I have officially moved. This is my new place. It's so nice, and I'm so happy. What I will say is that there is a train that you can hear in my new place that goes by every 10-15 minutes, so you might hear some trains. There's a dog that is barking upstairs, you may hear that, and there's people walking past the window having a good old chat. So I apologise if this is not the usual quality that you are used to hearing. You know, I've come from being in a soundproof studio to essentially my front room, but here we are. It is what it is, and I don't care. I'm just happy about it. So today, also I will say, I apologise profusely, maybe not profusely, for the lack of episodes over the last 3 weeks, I think it's been now. Moving house was a whole thing. Anyone that's moved house knows it's a whole thing. But I feel like very settled now, which is great. I feel like I have the capacity to do this. I did not have the capacity to be talking on any subjects for like at least 2 weeks. I was like, my head was all over the shop. And also I had an essay due for my degree. So I was just like, no, we're going to have to wait another week. I'm so sorry. But anyway, I'm back. That apology is mainly for one person in very particular who you know who you are. And I apologise. I know it's a part of your routine, your weekly routine. So I apologise, but I'm back. And today let's start out as we have always started out with a Patreon shout out. And that today is to Rohan Tarry, who has been a Patreon supporter for a good couple of years now. So thank you to you, Rohan. And yeah, just thank you. It really means the world to me. If you're currently listening and you would also like to support this podcast, you now can at patreon.com/Emily Drums. Please do feel free. You get basically early access to episodes. That's the perk, and the warm and fuzzy feeling that you are helping support the content that I'm putting out there. I don't know if that's enough, but it is what it is. So today I would like to tackle the subject of visibility. This was actually inspired by a number of different students I have and conversations that seem to be just in the ether at the moment for some reason or another, and I just think it's a really important subject. Also, it weirdly was part of the last essay that I did for my degree, not in the context that I'm talking about it, like not even slightly. It was in the context of sort of transitional moments in life, but it just, I don't know, for some reason this coupled with that kind of just brought it all to my attention. I was like, yeah, let's talk about this. So visibility, what am I talking about by visibility? So I mean visibility as a musician, professional musician, and just the importance of visibility, because a lot of people that I have spoken to recently, obviously I speak to a lot of people that want to do this thing professionally. They want to be making a living from it full time, and then it's about just getting the different components in line, because often the playing is not the thing. I'd say 90% of the time the playing is not the thing. It's all this other stuff that people don't know what they should be focusing on, how they should be focusing on it, and visibility is a big one. Big sort of overarching theme with all of this, and by visibility I mean like online presence, offline presence, how they're presenting themselves, how they're approaching situations, how they're approaching interactions and people, and where they're approaching people and interacting with them. So I just thought, why not do an episode on it? Because you know me, I like to do a good old episode, don't I? I like to have a good old chat. So let's talk about online first. makes sense, I suppose. So in terms of online presence and visibility, in fact, let's start out with something that I cite this more often than not, and you're probably sick of me hearing it, but let me tell you, I was sick of hearing it growing up as well. And that is, you can be the greatest player in the bedroom, but in your bedroom, sorry, but not in the bedroom, that's slightly weird. You can be the greatest player in your bedroom, but if nobody knows about you, then who cares? And that's something that my dad told me growing up. It was drummed into me, no pun intended, that I needed to be out there in the world, people to be seeing me as a drummer and taking me as that makes sense. Now, when I was growing up, social media, not a thing. Internet, barely a thing, barely. I mean, to download today what is like a GIF would probably take about 35 minutes, and it would cost money as well. You didn't just have like inclusive plans. Also, it was cheaper if you went online after 6 p.m. That was the era that I grew up in. Loved it. But anyway, so yeah, not a lot of online presence was a thing, but had it have been back then, all of this stuff would have applied. So let's start with online, mainly because it's what I focus on a lot with my students, people that reach out, and that's mainly because people are all around the world, whereas before you very much had to be in a major city to have a career. Now it's very different. And whether that's, being out on the road touring, whether that's being in the studio, and if you're sort of in a less sort of built up area, should we say, maybe that's more remote recording, that's fine. Whether it's teaching, there needs to be an element of visibility, and being online facilitates that. It gets you out to a wider audience. It makes you able to connect with the correct people. So I think having an online presence and the visibility that comes with that is incredibly important, because for instance, there was one specific new student I've had actually recently, and it was our initial call, and we were looking at their Instagram profile, and basically the way that they were presenting, because bear in mind, I didn't know them that well, so I'm still learning about them and whatever, and I just said to them, just so you know, I've just looked at your profile, and the first few videos were music related, because they'd made a transition of being like, I am now taking this very seriously, what I want to do, and it was very obvious. However, all of the posts before that, to the new eye, should we say, how would you say that? To a fresh set of eyes, it looked like they were all like holiday snaps. There was some very inappropriate sort of pictures of signs that were funny, but in the context of being a professional musician, not relevant, and actually a little bit like, why are you posting that? That's interesting. And then pictures of, what looked like just groups of friends. Now, what those pictures actually were tours that this person had been on previously. However, as I say, to the layman's eye, who does not know this person, which I was in that moment, I'd known them for a collective maybe 45 minutes. To me, it was just like, oh, okay, so you post about holidays, you have a bit of a crass sense of humour. Now, don't get me wrong, musicians, yes, we do. We have a very crass sense of humour. However, out of context, it can look a little bit intense as a first impression, if you know what I mean. So anyway, I kind of relayed this, and they're like, oh yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. And it was like, it can be okay in the right context, but in terms of making a first impression, very important what people first see on your online profile. And this is actually presupposing that you're getting eyeballs in the first place, because imagine you are. Let's say you're not getting eyeballs, but let's say one out of, I don't even know who these 100 people are. 1 out of 100 people, one looks at your profile and then they see holiday snaps in inverted commas, they'd be like, oh, well, this person isn't serious about what they do. They're meant to be a musician. If I come onto a musician's profile, all I want to see is them doing music all of the time. Like, I want them to be living as a musician. And what I mean by that is posting gigs that they're playing, posting studio work that they're doing, just posting releases that have come out with them playing on it, just all that sort of stuff. And obviously, depending on what you're aiming at, it's very different to what you will be posting. So a live musician touring will be different to a studio musician, will be different to someone that is mainly teaching, or maybe a combo of various different things, which is difficult, to be honest, but it's doable. It is doable. So I think being very purposeful about the visibility that you're projecting out into the world is very, very important. In terms of, and I have found this a lot recently, with people reaching out to me, because one of the first questions that I ask people is like, what is your ultimate goal? Like, what does success look like to you? And for some people, it's like, I want to make this as my living. It's like, great, I can do that. That makes sense to me. For others, they want to be fulfilled. For others, they want to help people. Fine. All of those make sense. But some people just want eyeballs. They want fans. They want acknowledgement, should we say. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but why? But what is the bigger picture? Like, oh no, I just want the acknowledgement. And I find that if you are looking just for the acknowledgement, then it brings a very different energy to what you post. Because if you're trying to be a professional, you don't necessarily want to be looking for acknowledgement. And I have been guilty of this in the past, not realizing it, that I was looking for validation through my content, and not just that, through my interactions with people, through gigs that I was on. I would be searching for that validation on the gig. I would I ask for it? No, I was probably too embarrassed to do that. But consequently, I maybe would not offer how I felt about other musicians and their playing when I loved it, and I would not say, because I thought, well, who am I to be saying that? Now, there is that train of thought, and it does make sense when you kind of say it, but on the outside, what that looks like is just a lack of confidence in yourself. Like, seeking out validation signals lack of confidence, which signals lack of experience. So I think in terms of visibility and projection, I think it's very important to be very confident when you're posting. And the way that I see it is that the approach is, I'm just doing this thing. For instance, for me, I'm a drummer. I just am a drummer. I'm doing my thing, and I'm documenting what is happening. So I'm documenting being on the road, playing these gigs. Look at this cool shot from this gig the other day. I am just in the studio. Look at this release that just happened, and I'm just sharing with you something that I recorded the other day. Here's a thing of me playing. I am just an educator, podcaster, coach, however you want to put it. I am just posting about the latest episode, posting about this client or this student that's doing really well at the moment. Look at their successes, sort of thing. It's kind of more documentation versus hire me as this thing, if that makes sense. I don't know if this makes sense to you, but I really, really hope that it does. In saying that, there is also a line of like making sure that you're not arrogant with it, because I do find that as well. And often that comes from insecurity more than anything, but it's kind of, again, the arrogant side of it can come through as being overly confident. So there's something about, let's rename confidence to competency. I think that is much more a useful word to use. So if you can portray yourself as competent, i.e. I'm experienced, I just do this day in and day out, I'm just showing you what I do, that is the perfect line, I think, behind arrogance, before we get to arrogance, because nobody wants, well, I don't enjoy working with arrogant people. I find it very hard. It really irks me for whatever reason. I don't know why. But yeah, competency. All you're doing is you're visibly showing your competency, which signals to someone, yeah, I can trust this person, rely on this person. I know that I'm safe with this person to do the job that I want to hire them to do, because people are not going to part ways with their money with someone that is looking for validation from other people. Not in my experience, at least. I know I would not be offering gigs to people that, like if I was asked to put forward musicians, I'm going to go for the person that I know that they are just out there doing this thing. And there's one particular person that I'm thinking of right now. Again, it's one of my students. They are out there doing the thing consistently. They are putting stuff online consistently. They are showing me. I haven't known them for very long, so I'm still getting to know them. But I am learning through what they're posting on social media. They are out there playing a lot. And all that does to me, look, there are so many people that can play, right? But I know that they are experienced because they're out there playing different gigs every week, multiple gigs, and they're showing me. And I'm just like, and they keep coming up on my feed. And I'm like, yeah, go on, man, like, go on. And I am literally just waiting for and willing for, I don't know if that's the right term, the moment to present itself where I can help this person in their career and put them up for a gig, because I'm like, you're ready. Not only can they play, they can actually play. They're very, very good, very, very competent, very good, lovely feel, love it. But I know that they're experienced, so I know that they're going to be able to weather what happens on the road, like what it's like being out on the road. It's not just the playing is such a small part of it, as I often talk about. It's all the other stuff. It's how to deal with people, being around people and all of that, and navigating difficult moments. I know that they can do that because I see that there's no way that they're doing this amount of gigs without having come across difficult situations and navigating that and still getting called for more gigs. It just signals that to me, and I don't need to, like I say, I think I've spoken to this person for a grand total of maybe 3 hours. I'm putting them on a gig when I can. Like, when I get that opportunity, I'm done. I'm doing it. It's happening. So anyway, I digress. But that is sort of me as someone who would love to be able to help facilitate that for someone. And I know that I can do that. I know that I can trust. Because bear in mind, when someone's getting you on a gig, whether they're in a part of the gig, whether they're recommending it to a bunch of people that they know, whatever, ultimately they're slightly putting their own reputation on the line. So you have to project to them that you can do this. They can trust you with this, you know? And I think the visibility of being online, along with, you know, being top of mind by just posting online, is so useful. It's so useful just building up like confidence in someone little by little. And again, it does come with consistency. I know that people talk about, and I get this a lot, you know, posting on social media. As soon as someone mentions the algorithm, I'm like, yeah, you don't understand how to use social media. Yes, the algorithm is a thing, right? As a concept. It's always changing, whatever. You are not there as a social media influencer. That is not your job. Your job is to create what I always see as like a rolling CV and create confidence, trust with people. And that's pretty much it. And just visibility and showing your skills and just making people feel safe with your ability, but not just your ability, your experience of what you do. So that is all that social media is for. That is irrelevant of the algorithm, because you then want to be cultivating relationships with people online, basically. It's not about, I want to have 100 million views of a video. Why? What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything unless they are 100 million musicians who are on the road touring, which unlikely. If you're getting 100 million views, they're going to be lots of randos. It's not going to mean anything. If anything, it's going to mess up your algorithm in terms of the wrong people seeing your stuff and getting out to the wrong people. It's all very nice and, you know, pat on the back and kudos, whatever, if you get a little viral video going. But to what end? That's the point. To what end? I'd rather have 10 working musicians on the road seeing my stuff that, if they see my stuff consistently, are much more likely to pick up the phone, send me an email, send me an Instagram message, whatever, and call me for a gig, than 100 million people that are the people that are in the audience, which is nothing wrong with that, but it's not part of your reason for using social media and being visible. So anyway, that is my thoughts on kind of the online sort of visibility side of stuff. And in terms of offline, it's just as important. I think, yes, okay, being online, you can get out to thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, right? Eyeballs, in theory. Whereas being in real life, being in a room with people, it might only be 5 people in a rehearsal. That is still just as valuable. And being visibly out there gigging, being known as, just people having actual experience of you as a person, not as a piece of content online, is, to me, I'm making up numbers, 10 times more valuable. That number is coming from nowhere aside from my brain, but it is what it is. And just creating those relationships in the moment, spending 5 hours in a car with someone, driving to a gig and developing that relationship with them, finding points of commonality, and just building that trust in each other that then does translate to playing 100%. That's how I always feel. Whenever I feel shaky on a gig or whatever, playing wise, I know that I just need to go to get to know the other band members better, because I need to feel safe with them. I need to feel like I know a little bit more about them. And that is the thing that will make our connection on stage better, will ultimately make the music better, and just make it all feel more settled and at home. And you can't rush these things. Things just do take time. It's life, isn't it? I think offline visibility is just as important. Like I say, being out at gigs is very good. Jam sessions, although potentially a precarious situation in terms of you can't really control a lot of the outcome in terms of getting up and playing a random song that's called out and hoping that you know it, and then hoping that you gel with the other musicians on stage, and then hoping, it's still good. I find that being in a house band in that situation is actually one of the best ways of doing it, because then you can create a bond with the house band. There will be some element of knowing what you're about to play, which does help, but you still have the benefit of having all the other jam session musicians that are coming into the jam seeing you play. So that is kind of the gold standard way of doing jam sessions, at least in my experience. Shout out to the Toy Box Jam. That was how I made many a contact, just happening to be in that house band. But anyway, it doesn't exist anymore. Such a shame. Such a great situation. Anyway, and then also, like I say, being out at other people's gigs, you might not be playing necessarily, but you can still chat to people, present yourself as a working, gigging musician, find out what other people are up to, obviously, talk to artists, just put yourself in the spaces where your ideal kind of artists, musicians, clients, or even students are. Like, put yourself in those positions. I mentioned this before, but when at the height of my remote recording business, I was going to songwriting seminars, I was going to open mic nights, I was chatting to everyone. Like, I'm someone, right? I can be very introverted. I love my alone time, but let me tell you, I know how to chat to someone. On the whole, obviously, I'm not perfect, and there are plenty of people that I have found difficult. But on the whole, I kind of know how to have a conversation, I think. I also know how to speak to myself for, what are we at, 23 minutes or thereabouts right now. So yeah, I know how to chat. I definitely do. I think I'm fairly good at finding some sort of common ground or something like that. So if you're not too good at that, start just doing it more and normalizing it, finding a way to make it easier. It hasn't always been easy for me, trust me when I tell you. Oh my goodness, like, I've had some awkward conversations, but I do find that focusing on the other person really, really helps, because I'm no good at talking about myself, she says in a podcast episode that is at number, 185, of basically talking about my own experience in life. The irony. Excuse me. So I would say putting yourself in the position of, let's say you're looking for students as a music teacher. Go to a music college, do some free seminars, something like that. Like, just think about it in terms of investment in your business, in your career, all of that sort of stuff. So it really depends on what you're going for. And I think bearing in mind who your ideal client, student, whatever that looks like to you. You know, all of our careers are based on our relationships, our interpersonal relationships with other people. So wherever that the other person is, go find them and go find more of them. And when you start getting people that you enjoy working with, find the commonalities and go find more of them. That's what I do, and it really, really works. What I would also say, there's this trope. Is it a trope? I don't know. But this idea of build it and they will come could not be more misleading, I think is the right word. It's great for a film. I'm pretty sure it's from Field of Dreams, that quote. But a lot of people, build it and they will come. No, they won't. Look, especially now, the world is so connected and it's such a fantastic thing. But unless you know how to leverage that, everyone's attention is fraught and everyone is vying for attention, and that makes it very difficult for people to find you organically. So the way that I have continue to deal with that is I basically, here's it, right? So let's talk about, this can be online and in person, but okay, the sort of, I see my Instagram, for instance, as my hub of, if someone Googles me, if someone meets me, if someone gets to message me, blah, 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 likelihood is the first thing they're going to see is my Instagram. So to me, that's kind of my CV. That is my main hub where I want to present myself as I want. So I've been very purposeful about what that means to me over the past, I don't know, however many years. Before that it was Facebook. Before that, I don't even know. It's probably my website. But things change. Things will always change. Again, transitional period. But in terms of getting people to see that profile, whether it's, like I say, going out to gigs, jam nights, other people's gigs, open mic nights, chatting to people, if the first thing they do after meeting me is try and find me on Instagram to connect, which, fine, more than happy to do that, I want them to see me as a certain way. I want it to be consistent with the conversations that we've been having, how I've presented myself, my visibility. Because look, there's so many facets to all of us. For instance, like, what can I say? So I love boxing. I've been enjoying that for the last 2 years. Possibly relevant to the person that I'm talking to, but not relevant in terms of being a professional musician. Only if maybe on the road by way of fitness, fair enough. Food, although a very common thing between many creatives, like love of food, 100%, not what I'd want to lead with. At the end of the day, I want to lead as a musician. I want to lead as a coach for other session musicians. Whatever I'm trying to lead as, I want to present as online, as the first thing that they see. So they're like, oh, consistent. Okay, yeah, clearly this is what you do. This is who you are. This is how you identify yourself. Because they want to feel safe. They want to know what they're looking at. They want to feel supported and confident and feel that I am confident in what I'm doing. So there's that. In terms of online, which may seem slightly more difficult, and kind of veering away from this build it and they will come, the way that I see it is that build curiosity and then they will come. And the way that I do that is that I will reach out to people on Instagram, say, and I will leave comments on posts that I find interesting, or music that I really enjoy, and just something simple like, really love this song, like something really, really simple. Now, one of two things will happen with this. Either the comment will not get seen, fine, I'm in the same spot I was before I left it, or someone might look and go, oh, who's Hey Emily Drums? Who is this? Let's have a quick look. And they click on my profile and there they see, oh, Emily Drums. Now, my current Instagram profile is mainly as a career coach for session musicians. So let's say I'm reaching out to, I see a drummer who is fresh out of college, treading the boards. I can see that they're out there gigging, and I'm just like offering some words of encouragement. They might click on my thing, comment, oh, she's a coach. Maybe I'll book in for a free session to see if that's something that I might want to do. And there we are, we're on a call for 30 minutes, that, a couple of days later. And it's the same for if you're a touring musician, get onto the profiles of other session musicians in your area and just comment, create relationships. Don't send messages necessarily, because they'll probably go into the other folder, may not ever see them. More likely to see a comment, more likely to get people interested. The more that you do it, now don't spam people, obviously, but the more that you do comment, people are going to start noticing your name. And maybe they do click on your profile and then they see, and let's hope that you don't have a bunch of holiday photos on there, and it's more, hello, I am a drummer. Hello, I am a bass player. Hello, I am a guitar teacher. Whatever it is that you're trying to project, the visibility and how you present yourself is so important. And I think just keeping that ideal artist, musician, client, student in mind is the key to how you want to present yourself. And also, I will say, if you are doing it in terms of like being a touring musician or a session musician, studio musician, make sure that whatever you're posting is in the genre that you want to be known for or be playing in, because posting in a genre that is not in line with where you want to be is difficult. Also, posting many different genres also confuses people. And I know that we all have eclectic tastes in music. We all have eclectic things that we enjoy playing. But more often than not, the musician that wants to hire you wants to know that you are as obsessed with the genre that they are playing as they are, if that makes sense. Because I know that, let's say, I don't even know. I was trying to think of an artist to kind of like use an example. Let's say John Mayer is looking at your profile right now, and you'd love to play with John Mayer, but you also really love Slipknot, and you just did a Slipknot cover. Likelihood is he ain't calling you if he's seeing a Slipknot cover. And that's not necessarily because he doesn't like Slipknot, but it is because that is not how his music sounds, and therefore probably not a right fit. So then he moves on. We don't want that. We want your ideal situation. And if you want to play with Slipknot as much as you want to play with John Mayer, that's a difficult one. I'd almost say start 2 profiles. That's what I would also almost say. But anyway, I don't know. Past that, I always find it quite difficult, the kind of like what's the word, like when you're spread across a few different whether it's roles as a musician or genres as a musician. I do find that difficult in how to present that online in a good way. I certainly found that when I was doing mainly remote recording and touring at the same time. So I would just split it 50-50. One post would be in the studio, the next post would be live. Next one in the studio, next one live. Currently, my profile is pretty much purely about the podcast and coaching, but it's interspersed still with live photos. So there's kind of the context of being a professional, teaching other people to be professional, not just some rando who's like, I can teach you how to be a professional musician. I've never played on stage in my life. Like, it's definitely not that. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of my 2 cents on this subject of visibility, the importance of visibility, the power of visibility, and how you can leverage it as best you can, basically. So I hope that this has helped you in some way. And yeah, if you've enjoyed this, then please do feel free to like, share and subscribe. It's lovely to be back, I will say. If you would like to support this podcast on Patreon, you can, patreon.com/Emily Drums. If you would like to suggest a subject for me to cover in a future episode, you can go to emilydrums.com/AMA. And if you'd like to reach out for some one-on-one coaching, you can book in for a free discovery call, which is 30 minutes where we just basically chat about where you are, where you want to be, and then any ideas that I have that come into my head in the moment, I'll kind of let you know what's going on there. And hopefully it will help. Then you can go to emilydrums.com. But anyway, I hope you're keeping well. If you want to reach out on Instagram as well, then you can at Hey Emily Drums. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, whatever you're up to. I am just enjoying my new place, and feels like a real new chapter for me in a really beautiful way. So anyway, I'm gonna leave you, and I will see you next week. There will not be a hiatus again for a while, hopefully. I will see you next week for another subject. All right, sending you lots and lots of love. I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.